Success is often portrayed as the triumph of talent, the natural genius who rises effortlessly above the rest. But Adam Grant's Hidden Potential dismantles this myth with precision, showing us that greatness is not about where you start but how far you climb, not about innate gifts but about the systems, character, and learning that allow ordinary people to achieve extraordinary things. And this is the hook of our journey. The realization that talent is overrated, that the obsession with prodigies blinds us to the truth that growth is available to everyone, and that the real measure of success is not brilliance but progress, not genius but grit, not perfection but perseverance. And Grant begins with a provocative idea, that the most important skill is not knowing, but learning how to learn, because when you master the art of improvement, you unlock infinite potential, and suddenly the ceiling disappears, the limits dissolve, and the impossible becomes possible. Imagine a world where opportunity is not reserved for the gifted few but extended to the overlooked many, where classrooms, workplaces, and communities are designed not to reward talent but to cultivate growth, where the question is not, how smart are you, but, how much can you grow? This is the world of hidden potential, and it is a world that challenges every assumption we hold about success, because we are conditioned to believe that talent is destiny, that IQ scores, test results, or early achievements define the trajectory of a life. But Grant shows us that destiny is shaped by character, by courage, by resilience, by the willingness to embrace discomfort and struggle, and by the systems that create opportunity. And this is why his book resonates so deeply. It is not a celebration of the gifted elite, it is a manifesto for the rest of us, the ordinary strivers, the overlooked learners, the underestimated dreamers. And it tells us that our potential is hidden not because it does not exist but because it has not yet been unlocked, and unlocking it requires a shift in mindset, a commitment to growth, and a willingness to embrace the science of improvement. Grant draws on stories of athletes, artists, students, and leaders who achieved greatness not because they were born extraordinary but because they learned to improve, to persist, to adapt, and to design environments that supported their growth. And he shows us that discomfort is not a barrier but a catalyst, that failure is not an end but a teacher, that struggle is not weakness but strength, and that the true path to success is paved not with talent but with character. And this is the hook that will carry us through the rest of this cinematic journey, the revelation that hidden potential is everywhere, waiting to be unlocked, and that you, the viewer, have more within you than you realize, more capacity to grow, more ability to achieve, more strength to endure, and more opportunity to create than you have ever imagined. And the only question is whether you will embrace the discomfort, cultivate the character, and design the systems that will allow your hidden potential to shine, because this is not just a book. It is a call to action, a challenge to stop worshiping talent and start cultivating growth, a reminder that greatness is not born, it is built, and that the science of achieving greater things is not reserved for the few but available to the many, and that includes you, right now, watching this video, ready to unlock your hidden potential. We live in a culture obsessed with talent, where prodigies are celebrated, gifted children are idolized, and natural genius is treated as the ultimate predictor of success. But Adam Grant's Hidden Potential dismantles this myth with clarity and force, showing us that talent is not destiny, that innate gifts are not the defining factor of achievement, and that the true measure of greatness lies in growth, in how far you climb from where you began. Because talent may open doors but it does not guarantee progress, and history is filled with examples of gifted individuals who squandered their potential while ordinary strivers surpassed them through persistence, resilience, and learning. And Grant reminds us that the obsession with talent blinds us to the power of character, the importance of systems, and the science of improvement, because when we focus only on talent we overlook the overlooked, we dismiss the underestimated, and we fail to see the hidden potential in those who may not shine at first glance but who have the capacity to grow beyond imagination. Consider the story of Steve Martin, who hated writing yet forced himself to embrace it, and through discomfort and persistence became one of the greatest comedians of his generation, not because of innate genius but because of deliberate growth. Or the countless athletes who were not the most gifted but who trained relentlessly, learned continuously, and built resilience until they became champions. And these stories reveal the truth: talent is overrated, growth is underrated, and the myth of talent is dangerous because it discourages effort, It convinces people that if they are not gifted they cannot succeed, and it creates a culture where opportunity is reserved for the few instead of extended to the many. But Grant's message is liberating. Your starting point does not define your endpoint, your lack of talent does not limit your potential, and your hidden capacity can be unlocked through learning, character, and systems. And this is why the myth of talent must be shattered, because when we stop worshipping talent we start cultivating growth, when we stop idolizing prodigies we start investing in learners, and when we stop believing that genius is destiny we start believing that progress is possible for everyone. And this shift changes everything. It changes how we teach, how we lead, how we parent, how we design workplaces, and how we measure success, because success is not about being the smartest in the room, it is about being the most willing to grow, the most resilient in struggle, the most courageous in discomfort, and the most committed to improvement. And this is the truth that hidden potential reveals. Talent is a spark, but growth is the fire, and anyone can build the fire if they are willing to embrace the struggle, cultivate the character, and design the systems that unlock their hidden potential. Of all the lessons in Adam Grant's Hidden Potential, perhaps the most liberating is the idea that the ultimate skill is not talent itself but the ability to learn, because when you learn how to learn you unlock infinite growth, you gain the power to improve at improving, and suddenly the ceiling of your potential disappears. And Grant insists that greatness is not about being born brilliant but about becoming brilliant through deliberate practice, reflection, and adaptation, and this is the essence of learning how to learn. The recognition that progress is not linear, that struggle is not failure, that discomfort is not weakness, but that each challenge is a stepping stone to mastery, and the science of learning reveals that the brain is not fixed but plastic, capable of rewiring itself through effort, repetition, and feedback. And this means that anyone, regardless of starting point, can grow beyond imagination if they commit to the process, and Grant illustrates this with stories of individuals who were not the most gifted but who became extraordinary by mastering the art of improvement, by embracing feedback, by persisting through setbacks, and by designing systems that supported their growth. And he shows us that learning how to learn requires humility, the willingness to admit what you do not know, the courage to face discomfort, and the discipline to practice deliberately. And this is why the most successful people are not those who know the most but those who learn the fastest, not those who are the smartest but those who are the most adaptable. And this truth changes everything, because it means that your potential is not limited by your current ability but expanded by your capacity to learn. And when you embrace this mindset you stop asking am I talented enough, and start asking am I willing to learn enough. And that shift is transformative, because it reframes failure as feedback, struggle as growth, and discomfort as progress. And Grant emphasizes that the environments we create matter, that classrooms, workplaces, and communities must reward learning rather than talent, effort rather than perfection, progress rather than pedigree, because when we design systems that encourage learning we unlock hidden potential in everyone. And this is the promise of hidden potential, that greatness is not reserved for the gifted few but available to the committed many, that success is not about being born extraordinary but about becoming extraordinary through learning, and that the true measure of potential is not where you start but how far you are willing to go. And this is why learning how to learn is the ultimate skill, because it allows you to grow endlessly, to adapt continuously, and to achieve more than you ever imagined. And the challenge now is to embrace this truth, to commit to the process, to design your life around learning, and to unlock the hidden potential within you by mastering the art of improvement, because when you learn how to learn you gain the power to transform not only your own life but the lives of those around you, and that is the true science of achieving greater things. In a world dazzled by brilliance, where genius is idolized and intelligence is treated as the ultimate currency, Adam Grant's Hidden Potential delivers a radical truth. Character matters more than genius, because genius without character collapses under pressure, but character without genius can still climb mountains, build legacies, and transform lives. And this is the paradox that Grant unpacks, that the qualities of resilience, courage, humility, and grit are far more predictive of long-term success than IQ scores or flashes of brilliance, because character is what sustains you when talent falters, character is what carries you through discomfort, and character is what allows you to persist when the path is steep and the summit invisible. And Grant shows us that the most extraordinary achievements are not the result of raw genius but of cultivated character, of people who chose to endure struggle, embrace failure, and persist through doubt, and he reminds us that history is filled with brilliant minds who never fulfilled their potential because they lacked discipline, humility, or resilience, while ordinary strivers with extraordinary character rose to greatness. And this is why character must be elevated above genius, because genius dazzles in the moment but character endures across a lifetime. Genius may win applause but character wins respect. Genius may spark ideas but character builds legacies, and the science of growth reveals that character is not fixed, but can be cultivated, strengthened, and expanded through deliberate practice, through embracing discomfort, through facing challenges, and through designing systems that reward resilience rather than perfection. And Grant emphasizes that environments must shift from rewarding brilliance to cultivating character, because when we idolize genius we exclude the many, but when we cultivate character we empower everyone. And this is the liberating truth of hidden potential, that greatness is not about being born extraordinary but about becoming extraordinary through character, and this means that your hidden potential is not limited by your intelligence but expanded by your courage, your resilience, your humility, and your grit. And when you embrace this truth you stop asking am I smart enough, and start asking am I strong enough to persist. And that shift changes everything, because it reframes success not as a test of genius but as a test of character, and it reminds us that the true measure of potential is not brilliance but endurance, not IQ but resilience, not talent but grit, and this is why character must be elevated above genius, because character is the foundation upon which hidden potential is built. And when you cultivate character you unlock the capacity to grow endlessly, to adapt continuously, and to achieve more than you ever imagined, and that is the science of achieving greater things. In Hidden Potential, Adam Grant delivers one of the most counterintuitive yet powerful truths about growth, that discomfort is not the enemy but the catalyst, that struggle is not a sign of weakness but the very soil in which strength is cultivated, and that the path to greatness is paved not with ease but with challenge, because when you embrace discomfort you unlock the hidden reserves of resilience, creativity, and courage that talent alone can never provide. And Grant insists that the moments when you feel most out of place, most uncertain, most stretched beyond your comfort zone are the very moments when growth is happening, because the brain rewires itself under pressure, character is forged in adversity, and progress is born from persistence in the face of struggle. And he illustrates this truth with stories of individuals who achieved extraordinary things not because they avoided discomfort but because they embraced it, leaned into it, and allowed it to shape them. Whether it was Steve Martin forcing himself to write despite hating it, athletes training through exhaustion, or students tackling subjects they feared, and these stories reveal that discomfort is not a barrier but a bridge, a passageway to hidden potential. And Grant emphasizes that environments must be designed to normalize discomfort, to reward effort rather than perfection, to encourage risk-taking rather than safety, because when we create cultures that fear discomfort we stifle growth. But when we create cultures that embrace discomfort we unlock potential, and this is the liberating truth, that the pain of struggle is the price of progress, that the weight of challenge is the gym of character, and that the discomfort of failure is the teacher of resilience. And when you reframe discomfort as growth you stop running from it and start leaning into it, you stop fearing it and start embracing it. And suddenly every challenge becomes an opportunity, every setback becomes a lesson, and every failure becomes a stepping stone. And Grant reminds us that the most successful people are not those who avoid discomfort but those who embrace it, not those who seek ease but those who seek challenge, not those who stay safe but those who take risks. And this is why embracing discomfort is essential to unlocking hidden potential, because greatness is not born in comfort zones, it is forged in struggle. And when you embrace discomfort you unlock the capacity to grow endlessly, to adapt continuously, and to achieve more than you ever imagined, and that is the science of achieving greater things. In Hidden Potential, Adam Grant reveals that greatness is not only about the individual but about the systems that surround them, because talent and character may ignite the spark, but opportunity is the oxygen that allows the fire to grow, and this is why systems of opportunity matter more than raw genius, because when environments are designed to reward growth, to extend chances, to cultivate resilience, and to support learning, hidden potential is unlocked in everyone, not just the privileged few. And Grant insists that the true measure of a society, a school, or a workplace is not how it rewards the gifted but how it empowers the overlooked, the underestimated, the ordinary strivers who may not shine at first glance but who have the capacity to grow beyond imagination. And he shows us that systems of opportunity are the invisible scaffolding of success, the structures that allow people to climb higher than they could alone, and he illustrates this with stories of classrooms that reward effort rather than perfection, workplaces that encourage risk-taking rather than punishing failure, and communities that extend chances to those who were dismissed. And these systems transform lives, because they shift the focus from talent to growth, from pedigree to progress, from privilege to persistence. And Grant emphasizes that designing systems of opportunity requires courage, humility, and vision, because it means dismantling the myth of talent, challenging the culture of genius, and creating environments where everyone can grow. And this is the liberating truth, that hidden potential is not unlocked by individual brilliance alone but by collective systems that extend opportunity. And when we design these systems, we change everything. We change how children learn, how employees thrive, how leaders lead, and how societies measure success. Because success is not about rewarding the few but empowering the many, not about idolizing prodigies but cultivating learners, not about celebrating genius but building character. And this is why systems of opportunity are essential to unlocking hidden potential, because they create the conditions for growth, the scaffolding for resilience, and the pathways for progress. And when you embrace this truth, you stop asking who is talented, and start asking who can grow if given the chance. And that shift changes everything, because it reframes success not as a privilege of the gifted but as a possibility for everyone. And it reminds us that the true measure of potential is not where you start but how far you can climb when given the opportunity. And this is why systems of opportunity must be built, because they unlock hidden potential not just in individuals but in entire communities. And when we design them, we unlock the capacity to grow endlessly, to adapt continuously, and to achieve more than we ever imagined. And that is the science of achieving greater things. Adam Grant's hidden potential comes alive through the stories of transformation, the real-world examples of ordinary people who became extraordinary not because they were born gifted but because they embraced growth, cultivated character, and seized opportunity. And these stories remind us that hidden potential is not a theory but a lived reality, because greatness is not reserved for prodigies but available to anyone willing to persist, adapt, and learn. And Grant highlights figures like Steve Martin, who despised writing yet forced himself to master it, turning discomfort into discipline and ultimately becoming one of the most influential comedians of his generation, not because of innate genius but because of relentless growth. And he points to athletes who were overlooked, dismissed as too slow or too weak, yet who trained with ferocity, embraced struggle, and rose to championship glory, proving that resilience beats raw talent. And he shares accounts of students who began at the bottom of their class, underestimated and ignored, yet who through systems of opportunity, supportive teachers, and their own grit climbed to the top, transforming not only their own lives but the lives of those around them. And these stories reveal the liberating truth, that hidden potential is everywhere, waiting to be unlocked, and that the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is not talent but persistence, not genius but character, not privilege but opportunity. And Grant emphasizes that transformation is not about sudden breakthroughs but about steady progress, about embracing discomfort, about learning how to learn, and about designing environments that reward growth. And he shows us that when individuals are given the chance to grow, when they are supported by systems of opportunity, when they cultivate character and embrace discomfort, they achieve more than anyone imagined. And these transformations inspire us because they remind us that we too have hidden potential, that we too can grow beyond our starting point, that we too can achieve greatness if we commit to the process. And this is why the stories of transformation matter, because they prove that hidden potential is not a dream but a reality, not a myth but a science, not a privilege but a possibility. And when you embrace this truth, you stop asking, "Am I talented enough?" and start asking, "Am I willing to grow enough?" And that shift changes everything, because it reframes success not as destiny but as progress, not as privilege but as persistence, not as genius but as growth. And it reminds us that the true measure of potential is not where you start but how far you climb. And that is why the stories of transformation in hidden potential resonate so deeply, because they show us that greatness is not born, it is built. and that anyone, including you, can unlock hidden potential if you embrace the science of achieving greater things. Adam Grant's Hidden Potential leaves us with a powerful integration, a reminder that the science of achieving greater things is not about talent, not about genius, not about privilege, but about growth, character, discomfort, and opportunity. And the final message is clear: greatness is not born, it is built, and hidden potential is not a gift reserved for the few but a possibility available to the many. And this truth reframes everything we thought we knew about success, because it tells us that your starting point does not define your endpoint, your lack of talent does not limit your capacity, and your hidden reserves of strength, resilience, and creativity can be unlocked if you commit to the process of growth. And Grant insists that integration means applying these lessons daily, not as abstract ideas but as lived practices, because learning how to learn must become a habit, cultivating character must become a discipline, embracing discomfort must become a lifestyle, and designing systems of opportunity must become a mission. And when you integrate these truths, you transform not only your own life but the lives of those around you, because you stop worshipping talent and start cultivating growth, you stop idolizing genius and start building character, you stop fearing discomfort and start embracing it, you stop limiting opportunity and start extending it, and this shift changes everything. It changes how you lead, how you teach, how you parent, how you design workplaces, and how you measure success, because success is no longer about being the smartest in the room but about being the most willing to grow, the most resilient in struggle, the most courageous in discomfort, and the most committed to improvement. And this is the liberating truth of hidden potential, that greatness is not destiny but progress, not privilege but persistence, not genius but growth. And when you embrace this truth, you unlock the hidden potential within you, and you realize that the science of achieving greater things is not about reaching perfection but about embracing progress, not about being extraordinary from the start but about becoming extraordinary through the journey. And this is the final call to action, to stop asking, "Am I talented enough?" and start asking, "Am I willing to grow enough?" Because that question reframes your life, it reframes your choices, it reframes your destiny. And it reminds you that hidden potential is not hidden because it does not exist but because it has not yet been unlocked, and unlocking it requires courage, resilience, humility, and persistence. And when you integrate these lessons, you discover that you are capable of more than you ever imagined, that you can climb higher than you ever thought possible, that you can achieve greater things than you ever dreamed, and that your hidden potential is waiting, right now, to be unlocked. And the only question is whether you will embrace the discomfort, cultivate the character, and design the systems that will allow your hidden potential to shine, because this is not just a book, it is a manifesto, a challenge, a reminder that greatness is not born, it is built, and that the science of achieving greater things is available to everyone, including you, right now, watching this cinematic journey, ready to unlock your hidden potential.